presentation, I'd like to introduce Katie Golden. Katie is a professional patient, advocate, and writer living a fulfilled life with chronic migraine and pain. She worked for 15 years in commercial real estate finance at a community bank in DC when her episodic migraine attacks became a chronic, everyday occurrence. Unable to return to her career, she found purpose in her pain through writing and began writing for Migraine.com in 2013. She soon found ways to advocate for others with headache diseases and says that advocating helped me reclaim any power migraine had stolen from me. That's a great quote. For the past 9 years, Katie has not experienced a break in pain. However, the pain fuels her personal mission, quote, never let your pain go to waste, end quote. Through her blog, Graine, Katie connects with others trying to navigate life when medical curveballs become the norm. As contributing editor of the Invisible Project magazine, she helps to educate and fight stigma. Katie is the patient expert for the Migraine Clinical Outcome Assessment System research project, funded by a joint program of the NIH and FDA. Katie is the director of patient relations and immediate past steering committee member of CHAMP, which is the Coalition for Headache and Migraine Patients, and migraine advocacy liaison for the U.S. Pain Foundation. She serves on the National Headache Foundation's Patient Leadership Council and is a member of the Miles from Migraine Warrior Advisory Board, where you can easily spot her at one of our events wearing a purple wig and tutu. Oh my God, you are truly an inspiration, Katie. Please take it away.
I just got exhausted when you read all of that.
I'm sorry, did I go too fast?
No. I got exhausted remembering, like, oh my gosh, I
don't know how you do it.
I think, you know what? Honestly, constant pain made me mad. It got me angry. And I think that when people get angry about something, it can fuel them in a positive direction. So, and thanks for the shout out on the Invisible Project magazine. It's something I'm really, really proud of. And if anybody wants a copy or 10, you can go to invisibleproject.org and there's an order materials button at the top. And actually, for everybody who's here, I said this on a webinar recently, you're not allowed to just get one. If you get one, you have to get at least 5 so that you can share them with friends and family. So that is your advocacy that you're doing. And I am going to turn on my my timer because I will ramble. And I want to leave time for questions as well. Okay, so I'm going to try and share my screen. Making sure that I have the right one up. No, I should. No. Okay, that's what I did. Sorry, it's not like I haven't done like a bunch of these Facebook Live and Zoom things, so I should be used to this by now. Sound. Okay. And view, present. All right. So I'm going to start with disability does not mean defeat. I will say I was really excited to be paired up with Dr. Doherty today. As she mentioned, one of her teammates is Dr. Jessica Alani, and I say all the time that I literally, I do, I'm not joking, that I owe my life to Dr. Alani. When I became chronic 9 years ago, I am 24/7, 365, and she gets embarrassed when I say that, but then she says that she pushed me to writing, which was, she's right. She was very helpful and instrumental in that, in me getting into advocacy. But she was also extremely helpful in navigating the Social Security disability process, which is not easy. So these are a couple of things that we're going to go through today, ups and downs of applying for SSDI. I won't read through them all because we'll kind of go through them. Saying that I've heard from other people that I use a lot, healing is not linear. If you've heard the grieving process, you know, there's denial, bargaining, depression, acceptance. I'm missing one. But reality is that you can go from one step to another, backwards, and it's just not a linear process. And neither is the Social Security disability process. Not linear. So before we get too much into it, I want to go over some of the lingo, because I think this is actually really, really important. If you, I wonder how many people who are watching actually do have a full or part-time job. Can you, Helen, is it possible, or Sarah, I think that in Zoom you can do like a, you can hit, there's a emojicon button or whatever, but never mind, I'm getting way off topic. And so some of these things, you know, even if you aren't working, I think there's a lot in here that you'll want to know, that it is not too late for you to apply for a disability. And also, if you think you're perfectly healthy and like, I just have a few migraine attacks, you know, a year, I'm never going to need this info. I thank you for tuning in, because that's what I thought when I was 28, 29 years old, and then had to learn this stuff real quick. So Family Medical Leave Act is a federal law that protects you, protects your job and your health insurance for 12 weeks in a 12-month period. So you could take 4 weeks off here, you could take 2 weeks off there, and then 6 weeks off at another time. And this could be for your own health, or it could be for somebody that you love, but it does not provide income. You could use, you know, if you've got sick days or, you know, vacation time. I had to save all of those. I had to save my vacation days. I rarely took vacation days because I knew that I actually needed them for migraine days when I couldn't come in, so that my income stayed the same. Short-term disability is typically a policy that is offered through your employer. Most people have heard of the duck, Aflac. And so if your company does not offer short-term disability, and mine didn't, and so I had to purchase a policy, and I think I paid maybe $30 a month for it, but at that time I knew that I was going to need it as I was getting sicker and sicker. So I did have to, as I mentioned here, there may be a 12-month waiting period for a pre-existing condition. So I purchased a policy, paid into it, and then I couldn't use it until a year later. Long-term disability. This is different than Social Security disability. Again, this is a private policy that your employer may offer as a benefit of your employment. Or if they don't offer it, again, places like Aflac, that's the only one that comes to mind at the moment. But they can also provide those, a long-term disability policy. And I'm incredibly grateful that my company did offer this. Between this long-term disability private policy plus what I get from Social Security disability, you know, I was an exec at a community bank, and I'm just not to be, I just want to give you an idea. I mean, I was making six figures at 29, 30 years old. And so because of long-term disability and Social Security disability, I am combined making probably about 60% of what I used to make. So that's incredibly helpful. And so if you don't have a long-term disability plan, you should seriously consider it. We might talk about CMS, which is also, it's the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. And then Social Security disability income. So this is the big thing. The financial payments are provided by the federal government. This is not what you're going to get from AFLAC. It's not what you're going to get from your employer. It's not sick leave. It's not under the FMLA. This is payments from the federal government. You can get a raise every year, depends on the consumer price index. There have been years where we've gotten no raises, and there have been years the consumer price index has been negative, and luckily they don't take the money away. If you are approved for Medicare, Social Security disability, you have to wait 2 years before you are eligible for Medicare. Medicaid is different, and actually I'll talk about that in a minute. It is very, very difficult to get chronic migraine approved as a debilitating condition under SSDI. There's this thing called the Blue Book, and we've been on Headache on the Hill. Sorry, Carrie didn't have me in her little Headache on the Hill team. It's because I moved from DC to LA, but we stomped a couple times on the Hill together. And one of the asks in the past few years has been to include chronic migraine as part of the Blue Book. The Blue Book basically, if you have a certain type of condition and you apply for disability, you don't have to jump through a lot of hoops. But if it's not listed in there, you're going to have to go through a lot, which is what we're going to talk about, because you have to prove how sick you are, is the best way that I can describe it. And so depending on what your condition is, you may get reevaluated every 3 to 5 years or 7 years. I have friends who get reevaluated every year. I've only been reevaluated once, and that was in the past couple of years, and I got denied, and I was like, nothing's changed. And I appealed, and it was about 11-month process that I did not have income coming from SSDI. And of course they did give me back pay, but these are some of the complexities that you should know and think about, I guess. So here's just a quick little graph or chart showing the difference between the things that I just went over, the Family Medical Leave Act, short-term, long-term disability, SSDI, Medicare and Medicaid. Just wanted to say really quickly, again, if you are awarded SSDI benefits, Medicare, you have to wait 2 years before you can get health insurance through Medicare. And Medicare pays 80% of your costs, and you have to pay another 20%. You can purchase a Medigap policy that will cover that other 20%. That's a little going into the weeds. And then Medicaid is based on financial needs. So you could be applying for SSDI, or you've been approved, but you're still in that 2-year gap period of waiting. Medicaid is healthcare, and depending on your income, you may be eligible to get Medicaid before Medicare kicks in. I want to set some expectations. This isn't easy, and it's a very hard decision to make, but it's also very long, can be a long process. So there are 8.5 million Americans who receive SSDI right now. The average monthly payment is about $1,260 a year. To put that into perspective, the poverty line for one person is less than $300 of what your SSDI payment is, and for 2 people. So it's not much for people to live on. And there is a very calculated way that they figure out how much you do get, and it's based on how many years you've worked, how many years you've paid into the system through taxes, and yeah, there's a lot of different things, but the average yearly benefits is $15,000 a year. This is really important. 70% of all disability applications are denied the first time. It is basically their job to deny you because they think that you're going to go away. Which is, you can't go away. You have to fight. You deserve this. If you and your doctor have decided that you've done everything that you can, that there isn't another option, which is a very, very difficult decision to make and to get to that point. There's a lot of emotion that goes into that. But if you're going to do it, don't let anybody tell you that you are lazy. Don't let anybody tell you that you don't deserve this. You don't deserve the pittance that you may get from the government. Don't feel like you are asking for a handout. I know how hard you have tried to manage your illness and to be productive. And I know there's no place else you would rather be than, you know, working and being more productive or being there more for your kids. So I really want to stress that. Don't let anybody tell you different. Half of those who get an initial denial pursue an appeal. So if you do get denied, about half people keep going through the appeal process, which honestly can last for years. In 2019, 53% of applicants were approved. And that stat I have no idea how long they had been, how many appeals they had gone through, how long they've been through the system. And then only 4 out of 10 applicants are ultimately approved. So this is where you need to be the CEO of your own health. Type A people don't mind doing all of these things. Type B people, I'm kind of in between, but these things that I list out here, what you need to do, how you need to be prepared, drowning them in details is incredibly important for your case and for the speed of your case to get approved. And so getting medical records, personal letters from your own doctors, and you can get letters from family and friends who live with you that discuss your condition and what you can and can't do. Again, chronic migraine is hard to get approved on its own. So if you have depression, if you have fibromyalgia, if you have Ehlers-Danlos, those things need to be included, and those doctors also need to be included in the process and filling out forms for you. Another 2 things, describe your typical day and describe your disability level. These are questionnaires that were given to me, and I think both of them, I at least typed up 10 pages for each. I went into detail, and I'll tell you, it's very hard when they, describe your typical day. It depends, of course. So I went to my worst day, to my best case scenario, and describing my disability level. I had to come to terms in writing that I lose words, or cognitive impairment, or I ramble on, as I have been doing, and not getting straight down to the point, but or that I can't go to the movies anymore. So this process is emotional, and it's going to be difficult, but you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to give them a very vivid picture of how your life is completely different from the person who is reading all of this information, who may not have ever broken a bone or had a cold or anything. So be vivid, ground them in details. What could you do before that you can't now? I can't handle, the things that I was required with my job, I can't handle anymore. And sometimes all the things that I volunteer for, I can't do those either. So it's very important to draft your dream team. Your doctor has to be in agreement. And as I mentioned, if you do have other comorbidities and you have other specialists, it's very important for them to be on board as well. But this could be your headache specialist or your neurologist or even your primary care physician. But that person is vital in this entire process. There's going to be a lot of paperwork for them to fill out and continuously to fill out. During a reevaluation process, they're going to have to fill out paperwork all over again. They may ask for medical records and, their back office. Thank you to Georgetown's back office and their team who helped me when I went through this. I sat my family down and talked to them about this. And I said, this is what the doctor said. I tried. I went on short-term disability. And I said, I'm only going to be on for 2 months. I really loved my job, really, really loved my job. And at the end of 2 months, my hair started falling out due to medication side effects. This was years ago. So I extended it to 3 months. And then at the end of 3 months, I was feeling worse. And so, it pained me, but Dr. Alani was just frank with me and said, Katie, has anything changed in these 3 months? And I was like, no. She's like, you have to do long-term disability. And that was hard, but she helped me through that process. So you need to hire a professional to help you. I went from short-term disability to my employer's long-term disability. And so I was receiving payments. And then after about 9 months, they said, you know what, you have to apply for SSDI. And we have a group that will help you. So I didn't pay for their services at all. And you shouldn't either. Whether you hire a attorney or a nonprofit lawyer, maybe they may have a consultation fee, $300 to $500, but you really shouldn't pay or have to pay, or they shouldn't be asking for a payment until and only if you get approved. I want to really stress the Patient Advocate Foundation. They are a member of CHAMP, and they have a special department that works, with migraine patients. And so they have a ton of different services, but in the disability process, you would have you would have your own case manager who works with you through the entire process, even if that process takes 2 years or 3 years. And hopefully it won't, because they are experts, and they've been doing this for 20 plus years in multiple disease states. And so hopefully it will not take you that long, because they are on top of things. They will, if you get a questionnaire in the mail and the brain fog is real, they will go through it, and you can tell them verbally what your answers are to those questions. They'll write it up, send it to you, and if you need to make any changes, that's great. Or you're like, yep, approved, and they'll send it on your behalf. And so these are the migraine care line. You can actually call with any questions. And this could be insurance access issues as well, not just SSDI. And then Migraine Matters is a portal that has some really, really great templates. So if you're ever thinking about SSDI, Patient Advocate Foundation is where to go. I wrote an article a while ago that said it's a full-time job being disabled. Not to be funny or cute, but you have to, these are some of the qualifications. If if there was a classified ad in the newspaper saying we're looking for somebody who is disabled, this is what you need to know. You need to know how healthcare administration works, what Medicare and Medicaid is. You need to understand like pharmacology, and you have to be an attorney and medical billing and like a CPA. It's maddening. And this is why you need somebody like Patient Advocate Foundation. And so these are things that I have just learned. And luckily I had this background in banking. So some of this came more naturally to me. But, I absolutely needed help. Before I really get to this, I kind of want to explain just a little bit more about my situation. I think I've mentioned throughout how the emotional burden of making this decision, how much that really can weigh on you. And I've probably thrown a lot at you, and you're like, oh dear Lord, I don't know that I can handle all this. And again, you don't have to handle it alone. That's what Patient Advocate Foundation is there for. That's what your doctor is there for. That's what their back office team is there for. So make sure to utilize all those people. You're the quarterback. And you've got to, get all the moving pieces together. But it can be very easy to miss deadlines or to just misread something. And that's why you shouldn't do this alone. And again, if your doctor has said this is what you need, or you feel that this is absolutely what you need for your health, don't let anybody tell you, don't let a doctor tell you differently. Actually, speaking to Dr. Doherty a few days ago, I said, tell me something that from your point of view as a doctor, when you get requests, when somebody says, I want to go on disability, she says it's very difficult. She said it's very difficult when she sees a patient for the very first time. And even though they've provided this huge stack of paperwork and medical records, and they say, hey, I'm filing for Social Security disability. She said, that's a little difficult because she doesn't know the person. She can read through all the medical history, but can't really give a true picture. So if that means if your doctor isn't on the same page as you and you need to find somebody else, just realize that you need to, that you need to establish a relationship with another doctor. And the doctor-patient relationship is so incredibly important. And I think I just wanted to also say that, it was a very, very difficult decision. And I still sometimes, think about going back, what it would be like if this had never happened. But somehow I fell into all those advocacy work, and you could not pay me enough to go back to any type of job outside of just a cause that I really truly believe in. So this is where this comes in, because it was difficult. Like, I knew that I was retiring early from my job, going on disability. And then I knew my job then was to make appointments, to really get to the root of things, to really make dramatic changes in my life, to really try and improve my health. That was my job, to manage my illness better. That became my job. But I was still lacking purpose. And so, as Sarah mentioned before, I said that advocacy helped me to take back any power that chronic migraine stole from me. And Shirley Kessel who's amazing, has said for a couple of years that advocacy needs to be part of your treatment plan. And of course, while I'm going through all of this, I didn't know about Miles for Migraine. I didn't know about Association of Migraine Disorders. There was a lot that I didn't know. And once I found writing with migraine.com that then got me into more, opened up some doors into advocacy. I found a purpose. And so there's going to be times throughout this where you're like, what am I doing? Or I just feel useless, or I just really don't, it's the transition to being at home all the time is hard. So I encourage you to get involved. CHAMP is a coalition for headache and migraine patients, of which Miles for Migraine is actually a huge partner. There are 21 member organizations, and 4 of which are patient opinion leaders. And so this is our Get Involved page. You go to any of these topics and all of our members and their programs are listed under there. So those are just different ways that you can use your talents. And June is National Migraine and Headache Awareness Month. We have a new homepage there. So Migraine Headache Awareness Month.org, and there's a calendar. There'll be blog posts every day, and a lot of member organizations doing Facebook Live events and run walk events. So kind of check that out. And then, one thing I said earlier is that you have to prove how sick you are when you go through the Social Security disability process, because this is an invisible illness. And most of our comorbidities are invisible as well. But just remember that your illness is invisible, but you aren't. And I have written quite a lot on migraine.com and on my own website, goldengraine.com. And so I think in the follow-up email that you'll get, I'll be providing some resources there. And just know that you're not alone, and that you do deserve this. So I've probably taken up too much time, but I think I've left enough time for questions. And please feel free to ask me anything.
Oh, sorry, Katie.
No, that's fine.
That was a really great presentation. Thank you. Inspirational and informative. And I wish I had it during my 3 attempts and failures at disability insurance. So it's really great.
Actually, I will say one thing. You just said, did you apply 3 different times?
I applied once through my private, work insurance, and then I sort of had to apply for the federal at the same time. And then I applied with another company's private insurance another time. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I had just read last night that sometimes people get denied, and then they'll wait a while, and then they will apply all over again. And that's actually kind of the worst thing you could do. Your situation was
that's really
different.
Interesting. Yeah.
So if you get denied, appeal that and stick with that one that one case. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, and we have a question. How many times should people continue to apply for SSI disability when they get turned down? Should they continue trying? I think that's related to what you just said, but.
Yeah, and honestly, I've personally helped a friend who had a completely different condition, helped her, and also brought in Patient Advocate Foundation as well. And I mean, it took 2.5 years and multiple denials. But I was like, we're going to get this done. You deserve this. Like, I see it, and I did provide a letter attesting to what I saw she could do and absolutely couldn't do. And so, but then I also have friends who it took 9 years, and that's just not right. So that's really why you need a nonprofit group to help guide you through that.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of comments, mostly, people having frustrating experiences, one person having a good experience, which is great. And then also people just sort of really feeling maybe on the verge of applying, really frustrated with what's going on in their life. So
Yeah.
I don't know, do you have any advice for people who are sort of like, should I, shouldn't I?
I think it was honestly, I didn't want to. And Dr. Alani kicked my butt. I am incredibly grateful to her. Because you're not everybody has a Dr. Alani or a Dr. Doherty who is going to be there. Literally, she was there from the beginning of me becoming chronic. But then I talked to my family, and I understand, I'm incredibly lucky as well that my family is very supportive and has been was episodic since I was 5. So they understood and they saw the difference. Your body is going to tell you when it's time. Whether you listen to it at first or not is totally different. But I knew that my company was amazing. My company was absolutely amazing. This doesn't happen either. So I've had a really great circumstances. But it was like after a while, I would call my team or email them in the morning and say, okay, I'm coming in, but I'm going to be late, or I'm going to work from home today. Or it was, sometimes they didn't hear from me at all. And they knew that was not a good day, and not to, that I probably couldn't answer even like the simplest question. And I just got really tired of saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to my coworkers. I'm sorry because they had to pick up slack, or I'm sorry to my clients who I dropped the ball on things because that wasn't like me. I got tired of saying I'm sorry, but I didn't. And, I tried different things and, calendar reminders and post, I tried everything to help me. And my coworkers were great at trying to help me too, because they hated seeing me like this. We were all very close. And so I just had to listen to my body and say, this isn't fair to me. It's not fair to my coworkers, and it's not fair to my clients. So I guess, I had to listen to my body.
That's really hard. Yeah. I guess, I don't know if you said this, so I apologize, but
okay.
Where would be the number one place to start?
Number one place to start, I would say, is patientadvocate.org.
Great.
And of course, there's also, the federal SSDI. Sorry, I know that I have it here. I mean, if you just look up SSDI and look at the government, web page, but, you also need to be an attorney to read most of what's on there. Patient Advocate Foundation has a lot of, not just templates, but I printed off one of their pieces about it's a common misunderstanding when it comes to disability benefits. So they really do a great job in breaking it down, and making it digestible and easy for patients to get. So I'd say patientadvocate.org.
Great. Okay, I think we're getting past time here, but thank you so much, Katie. That was an amazing presentation.
Well, thank you.
There's Dr. Doherty did answer some of your questions in the chat section, if anybody wants to go back and look at that. Also, someone asked if these presentations are recorded and where to access them in case we, have a migraine in the middle and can't finish. I do know they're recorded. I don't know where to access them. Helen, do you have an answer to that question? We'll try to find out.
It will be available on our YouTube channel.
Oh,
And a number of the slide presentations are actually right on our event page. So you can link to the slides to review the materials.
okay.
Yeah, I will make sure that my slides are, for Migraine, but also on goldengraine.com by the end of the weekend.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, I'm going to share our final slide here. And I'm also going to thank everyone for joining us today. It was a really great event. So thanks again to Dr. Carrie Doherty and Katie Golden. Your presentations were totally amazing. Everyone, please remember to sign up for our next virtual education day, which is on June 6th. And please sign up for one of our virtual run, walk, just relax events for Cincinnati, Chicago, or Buffalo. They're all coming up in June. You can also do a virtual run, walk, just relax event anytime, anywhere as well. Thanks again to Amgen and Novartis for supporting this event. And thanks again to all of you for joining us today. It was really fun. So have a great rest of your weekend.